Hi, everybody. I'm Dr. Alexis Conason, and thank you so much for joining me live. I apologize if anybody's been kept waiting. We had a little bit of technological difficulties, but I think everything is working right now. And I'm really happy to be here with everybody. I know many of you are joining me live, and some of you maybe are watching the replay. And if you're here live, I'd love to know that. Feel free to say hello and let me know that you're here. And if you have any questions that come up, that's what the live is all about. I think the benefit of this technology is really that we can interact and have questions, and it's not just me talking the whole time. So if you have questions that you want me to answer, please do let me know, and you can write them into the comment box, and I'll see them pop up on my screen, and I will do my best to get to all of the questions that we can. Hi, Judy. Nice to see you here again. So today we're going to be talking about the top three things that you can do to start eating mindfully today. So I know that we hear a lot about mindfulness and mindful eating, and it can sometimes feel overwhelming. Like, okay, this all sounds well and good, but where do I start? How do I, what are some, actionable steps that I can do to start building a mindfulness and mindful eating practice right now? So we're going to be talking about that today. First, a little introduction about myself. As you may know, I'm Dr. Alexis Conason. I'm a clinical psychologist, and I have a practice here in New York City. I also work with people virtually, and I have a free 30-day program. If you're interested in learning more about mindful eating and what I'm talking about today, do check out the 30-day, the Anti-Diet Plan introductory course, which you can get to on my website. I'll post a link here as well. That really gives you a good sense of how to get started with mindful eating. And my practice specializes in working with people with different types of overeating disorders and body image issues, and especially working from a mindfulness-based approach. And we're going to talk a little bit before we get into like the 3 actionable steps that you can take today to start eating more mindfully. We're going to talk a little bit about like what mindful eating even is. And the way that I think about mindful eating is being completely aware and present in our eating experiences and with our body. So for many of us, I'd say most of us in our culture, we kind of go through life disconnected. We're not really present in the current moment. We might be sitting one place, but our mind is somewhere else. And the same goes for when we're eating, especially when we have conflicts around food in our body, because if we feel conflicted about our relationship with our body, it's uncomfortable to sit with ourselves. So we try to avoid it. And that's what we often see when, we're eating on the go or eating like in front of the television. Often we like just chalk it up to boredom. But I think that often if we delve a little bit deeper, it does we're doing some of those behaviors because it can be so uncomfortable to sit with our body and to be present with our eating when there's just so much conflict and shame and different kinds of uncomfortable feelings associated with it. So there's a reason that we don't eat mindfully, or that mindful eating is really hard for a lot of people. So, to me, mindful eating and developing a mindful eating practice, and it is a practice, and I think it's always a practice. Like, we never truly get to a point where we're just like mindful eaters, where we're just eating mindfully all the time. And it's not about all or none. It's just about really like a state of being and intentions and practice. So we really are all kind of playing with these ideas, whether you are brand new to mindful eating or you've been practicing mindful eating for decades. It's always a practice and an intention. And my hope is that we can keep that intention and that practice kind of light and playful and filled with curiosity, and a way of exploring and renewing our relationship with ourselves and our bodies, which is always changing and evolving anyway. So, mindful eating is never static. It's always, about connecting with your body and how is your body doing right now in this moment, and what is your experience with food like right now in this moment? Because even if you've eaten the same meal 100 times, you've never eaten this exact meal before because the time is different. Like, you've never eaten it right now in this moment. And that's really what mindful eating is to me. It's about being completely aware and present in your eating experiences and with your body. So how do we do that? What are 3 things that you can start doing today to start eating more mindfully? So the first thing that I think that we can start doing, or that I recommend, is just starting to develop a meditation practice. And I did a whole session a few weeks ago about why mindfulness meditation is actually the foundation of mindful eating. I mean, it's in the name, right? Mindful eating. So there are too many programs, and I know I've gotten kind of off on a spiel about this before, that don't include mindfulness meditation in mindful eating. And it's like, how can you talk about mindful eating without the foundation? It's like building a house from the second, starting at the second story. So I really do see mindfulness meditation, and if you want to know more about why mindfulness meditation is the foundation, you can check out the video that I did a few weeks ago that was just 30 minutes all about why mindfulness is the foundation of mindful eating. But very briefly, like, in order to build the skill to be present and aware in our relationship with food and with our body, we have to build more generally the foundation of becoming more present and aware in the current moment in our lives overall. So start to build a meditation practice. And how do you do that? Like, that can feel overwhelming in and of itself. I have so many clients who come in and say, yes, I've heard about meditation. That's all well and good. I know it has a million benefits. I hear about it all the time, but I just can't do it. Meditation's not for me. So if you think meditation's not for you, I would challenge you to start with just a very brief period of meditation. It doesn't have to be 20 minutes. You don't have to sit on the floor. You don't have to go to a meditation center. You don't have to have a special cushion. No equipment needed. You can just focus on your breath. And I recommend starting with 1 minute, with 3 minutes. It doesn't have to be a long period of time. And if you tell me you can't find 3 minutes to meditate each day, let's look at what's going on there. Because that's not a time issue. That's an issue with the difficulty of sitting with ourselves. And I don't want to undermine that, because sitting with ourselves for 3 minutes is hard as hell. I get that, I'm not asking you to do something simple. It's hard to slow down. It's hard to hit pause. And we may feel like, we just can't take that 3 minutes for ourselves. But 3 minutes is far less time than we spend on Facebook or Instagram or playing Candy Crush or any of the million things that we do, that we do find the time to do every day. So on my website, drconison.com, I have a 3-minute meditation, and I'll link to it here. And it's just a very brief guided meditation. And I'm going to take 1 minute right now and lead us through a very brief kind of mindful moment, a mindful check-in, because I want you all to see how accessible meditation can be. We can do it right here, right now. We don't need any special equipment. Like I said, you don't have to move from where you are. Even if you're listening to this while you're doing something else or walking or whatever, it's fine. You don't have to even close your eyes if you don't want to. But if you're seated, you can start off by just kind of sitting upright. If you are, again, if you're doing something else where you're not seated, that's totally fine as well. You can close your eyes if you'd like, or you can leave them open. And we are just going to start to center our awareness on our breathing. So noticing the breath as it enters and exits your body. Bringing all of your awareness to the present moment, giving your mind a little break from all of the worries about the past or the present that it's usually so filled with. And just bringing all of your awareness to what you're doing right now. And we're all breathing all the time. That's the great thing about mindfulness and breath, is that the breath is always with us. If you notice your mind wandering off or feeling boredom or distraction or discomfort, that's fine. Just simply notice that and bring your awareness back to your breathing. You may take an opportunity to also check in with yourself now and say, is there anything that my body needs? Is there anything that your mind needs? Or is there anything that you need in this moment? And we're going to bring that practice to a close. So if you've had your eyes closed, you can open them up. If you had decided to change your seated position, you can kind of come out of that now. But that's really like all meditation is, right? It's just bringing our awareness to the present moment. It can be a moment. It can be as brief as 30 seconds. It's an opportunity to pause and to check in with yourself. So that is the number or one of the 3 things that you can do today to start building a mindful eating practice, is to start building a meditation practice. And it is as simple as taking a mindful moment. It's as simple as taking a pause and checking in with yourself, being present for just a moment. Just literally, we did that. That was like 60 seconds. And tuning in. Just focusing on your breath. You might, become aware if there's anything that you need, that your body needs in this moment, because often we go through our entire day and we're not present at all, and we're not present with our body, with our eating, with ourselves, and we neglect ourselves. It's kind of sad when you think about it, how much we neglect ourselves, especially for people who tend to care for everyone else or everything else in our lives. And we prioritize our job, our partners, our children, our friends, our social media, like everything comes before ourselves. So, one thing to start doing today is to take 1 minute or 3 minutes. Go to my website, check out the 3-minute guided meditation, and see what that's like to start integrating that in. And you may notice that even though mindfulness, that practice isn't specifically like related to food or our body, it so is, because we can't be present with our eating unless we're present with ourselves. Okay, so that's number 1. Number 2 is get off of the diet mentality roller coaster. And this is one of the things that I think we need to just kind of like clear house of before we can start eating mindfully. So diet culture, and last week, I think it was last week's or 2 weeks ago, the episode was all about why diet culture is harmful AF. I won't say what AF stands for to keep it clean for the kids, but it is damaging. Diet culture is really a harmful, destructive part of our culture and our deeply ingrained beliefs. So it's kind of like if you're rearranging a shelf in your house, what's the first step, right? Clear all the clutter, clear the noise, clean it up. And part of developing a mindful eating practice and reconnecting with your body is just trying to like sweep away all of the deeply ingrained messages that we hold onto from diet culture. So obviously that's easier said than done. There's a lot of resources out there. And I just wrote, if you're not on my newsletter list, or actually you can also check this article out. I posted it on my Psychology Today blog. because I think there are so many resources coming out right now about body positivity to help us break free of diet culture and really embrace a accepting and body positive way of approaching ourselves. So in terms of how to do that, like, we have to kind of just immerse ourselves in body positivity. And there are, I wrote about my 5 favorite books right now that have come out, you know, in the summer 2018 season, for you to read to, you know, start immersing yourself, but following people on social media. And then of course, you know, I don't want to imply that it's easy, because breaking free of diet culture and improving the way that we feel about ourselves, I think it's one of the most challenging things that we can do, because we do, you know, like, even myself being so immersed in, you know, kind of the anti-diet movement and seeing the damage of diet culture, we still go out into the world and we're exposed to all of these really destructive messages. So we need to really do a lot of work to consciously bring other kinds of messaging into, you know, into our lives, through books, through what we're exposed to on social media, and for many of us through therapy. Like, body image is deeply, like, it just gets so deeply ingrained, and sometimes it can be really beneficial to work with a therapist or a coach or a counselor who specializes in body image to try to resolve some of that. But so I'm not going to spend as much time about like how to, you know, improve body image. I'll probably do another session on that in the future. But basically, one of the reasons that I think that we need to get off of the diet train is that when we're listening to dieting and listening to diet culture, we are not listening to our body. So mindful eating is all about what I describe as tuning into our internal GPS system. So our GPS is like in your car, you have the navigation system telling you, turn right here, turn left here, you know, oh no, you made a wrong turn, make a U-turn. Whatever that navigation system is in the car, we have that. Like, the same thing internalized in our body. And that's why I think it's so funny when I see people wearing, you know, like all this technology, like the Fitbit and calorie counters and all of this stuff telling them, you know, that we rely on to tell us what's going on in our own bodies, when that all is like hardwired inside. Now, the problem is that diet culture makes it very difficult to hear what is actually going on in our bodies. And it's one of the reasons that I think we need to kind of, the, you know, number 2 thing that you can do today to start eating mindfully is to recognize that dieting is not the answer. That dieting and diet culture is part of the problem, and it's part of what is keeping us disconnected from our bodies and preventing us from being able to truly trust ourselves, to know that our bodies have the wisdom to guide us in making wise choices around food and properly nourishing ourselves. So the number 2 thing you can do is to start to recognize that dieting is the problem, not the solution. And if you need resources doing that, I would definitely check out some of the books that I listed on my Psychology Today article. I also really recommend the book Body Respect, Linda Bacon's new book, well, not new anymore, but one of her more recent books. If anyone's interested in more resources, email me. I'm happy to provide more resources on how to get off the diet train. But we got to get off that diet train, because that diet train is not leading us to mindful eating. Okay, so the number 2 thing you can do today is start to recognize that dieting is the problem, not the solution, and start to immerse yourself in the anti-diet movement and the body positivity movement. So if you are still convinced that dieting is the answer, I recommend picking, you know, just like a simple thing you do today. Order Body Kindness or Body Respect. Body Kindness is another good one by Rebecca Scritchfield. Pick up a body positive book order it from Amazon, get it delivered to your Kindle today, get it delivered on Prime tomorrow, or listen to it. I've been super into Audible recently. I just love listening to books, and it's the information is conveyed just the same. So that's number 2, is get off the diet train, because it's certainly not leading us to mindful eating. And then number 3 is to start to use our senses to really be present with our eating. So mindful eating is very much about, like I've been saying, being present with our food and with our eating experiences. And so next time you sit down to eat, it is almost 12:30 as I'm recording this, Eastern Standard Time. So that is usually like around lunchtime for many people. If you haven't had lunch yet, or if you're gonna have a snack later, or just the next time you're gonna eat, I want you to practice taking a mindful pause. So doing kind of, you could practice that 1-minute meditation that we did earlier in the session, and starting to tune in to the food with all of our senses. So just taking a moment to notice, what does the food smell like? Bringing the food up to our nose and smelling it. What does it look like? What are the colors? What are the textures? You know, putting the food even just like up against the outside of our lips for a moment and noticing any sensations that are going on, placing it in our mouth and noticing as much as we can about the taste of the food, the texture in our mouth, the sound that the food makes as we're eating it. So just immersing yourself, using all of your senses to take in as much as you can about the food. And those are my 3 tips on how to start eating mindfully today. So number 1, develop a meditation practice. Start developing a meditation practice. And this is not like an abstract thing that you're going to go out and kind of magically start a meditation practice. Like, there are instructions on how to develop a meditation practice in my free 30-day starter course, or you can head over to my website, drconison.com, and check out the 3-minute meditation. 3 minutes, guys. Like, that's all we're talking about here. Just start with 3 minutes of meditation, and listen. Like, it's all guided. You just have to sit down and listen to it for 3 minutes and see how that goes. So that's something that I'm not talking about the abstract. Like, that's something I want you to do today, to go and check out the 3-minute meditation and see how that feels, and see if you can integrate that into your daily routine. Each day, 3 minutes if you can. 3 minutes feels overwhelming, start with 1 minute, start with 30 seconds, whatever it is. You know, that is your action step, is to start developing a meditation practice. Number 2, get off the diet train. Excuse me. If you are still convinced that dieting is the answer, there are so many great books and resources. So check out my Psychology Today article and pick up one of the books that's on there, or check out any of Linda Bacon's books. She's awesome at deconstructing why, you know, all of the problems with dieting and how it really is harming us rather than helping us at all. So number 2 assignment for this week is to pick up a book that's going to help you move away from diet culture. Number 3, use your senses to start immersing yourself in the eating experience. Sight, smell, touch, sound. Am I leaving anything out? Taste. Oh my gosh, that's like the most, to me, that's my favorite for mindful eating, because that's like where the joy and pleasure is in food. Well, not for everybody. Some people really enjoy the touch. Some people just really enjoy the smell. I love taste. I mean, like, what's better than just a really delicious, tasty bite of food? So, you know, using your senses to absorb and enjoy food. Food is not, you know, something to be feared or fought against. It's a pleasure. It's one of the great joys and pleasures in life. So I really hope that we can use all of our senses to just immerse ourselves as much as we can and enjoy as much as we can with our eating experiences. So those are 3 action steps that you can take today: meditation practice, rejecting diet culture, and using your senses to really be present and engage and enjoy and have pleasure in your eating. Those are 3 things you'll do today to start developing a mindful eating practice. I hope everyone's willing to give it a try. If you do, please let us know. Feel free to come back and comment on the video and let me know how it goes. I'm really curious to hear how your journey is and if these 3 tips are helpful and something that you think that you would try and that you could integrate into your daily life. And I hope it's 3 things that will make mindful eating seem less abstract and less overwhelming, because it's not. It's just simply about being present and aware. And I think that it is, doesn't take a lot of time, doesn't take any special equipment. It's just about practice. So I hope that you'll all consider developing, starting your mindful eating or continuing your mindful eating practice. And again, I'm Dr. Alexis Conason. I'm here every Wednesday at noon. And if you're interested in learning more, if you liked what I was talking about today and you want to learn more about mindful eating, I do have the free 30-day introductory course, which will lead you through how to develop a mindful eating practice. You get 1 email per week for 4 weeks, and each email has some like a lesson plan in it, and it also has an assignment for you to start integrating into your week and how to really make mindful eating not an abstract concept, but part of your daily routine and part of your daily life. So thank you so much for joining me, and please feel free to share your experiences with mindful eating on the comments below. And if there's other things that you want to hear about on my lives, I would be happy to talk about what you want to hear about. So please let me know. So thanks for joining me, and I will see everyone next week. Take care.